What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome on in to the Thursday edition of the Brass Ring Media Podcast for July 24th, 2025. I am Zach Haydorn. That is Tyler Sage. There's a storm going on right here, so if you hear crazy thunder, it's me in Chicago, and it's wild, and it's crazy, and it's a little freaky. Tyler, what's up, man?
Hey, it's good to be here. Well, it's like 95 degrees here, so excited for crazy rainstorms tomorrow to cool it down a little bit.
It's coming. You get the weather the next day. We talk about it all the time. So, yeah, it is on the way. Kind of a, weird day in professional wrestling. Obviously, we're going to talk about AEW Dynamite today, and we still will. But Hulk Hogan dies at the age of 71. WWE broke the news today along with TMZ that Hogan is no longer here. I can't even piece together kind of what exactly happened to him. I know that he, in the last few weeks, has had some severe health issues, but to my knowledge and the reporting that we did on it, like at SI and stuff, that it wasn't, necessarily life-threatening. So a little out of the blue in that regard. But yeah, Hulk Hogan dead. Kind of, and I think he leaves with him a very complicated legacy. On one hand, he is a pop culture icon, one of the biggest stars to ever be in a pro wrestling ring, period. Changed the game as far as what pro wrestling is and what it could be, and the money that it made and the mainstream appeal it could have, all of that on his shoulders. But of course, at the same time, comes with some incredibly awful baggage of some very racist comments, very misogynistic comments, and a lack of awareness in recognizing or apologizing for those. So want to get into Hulk Hogan here a little bit, Tyler, but your reaction to his the news of his death.
Yeah, his era of guys. Ric Flair being a prime example of this. It's always kind of surprising when they're still alive, if I'm being honest with you, when you break like 62-ish plus for how they operated. So it's one of those things where, at least for me mentally, it's like any day I could get this news and I'm not surprised of anybody from that era. So there's that going in with, how the last 15 or so years has gone. I think for his public image, for me personally, and has coincided with the public image that many people have of him. It's I'm trying to think, like, pinpoint when the downfall starts collectively. Is it like when his son killed that guy driving after the show, or where the show was going on at that point? Because then that's before the sex tape gets released, all the Gawker stuff, all that sort of stuff. So interesting timeline there, obviously, an interesting documentary to be had on the life and times of Hulk Hogan, now that he's passed. But, certainly a luminary in the industry. I think we've chosen collectively, as all of us, an interesting industry to follow intensely, because besides Hulk Hogan's death, it was probably the most pop culturally significant pro wrestling death, I think, per capita, worldwide. The only other more important death of the industry is Vince McMahon, right, when he dies.
Yeah.
And both of those guys, obviously different levels of Hogan's more just of a bad guy. Vince McMahon's more of a criminal type guy, like a rotten to the core kind of guy. And Hogan, not as much, I would say, on that. Still a bad guy, but not that level, right? There's levels to being bad. So it's interesting that those two are the two that come to mind first. But yeah, and I was reading, it's the TMZ, was it a cardiac incident? Is that how they described it?
That's how they described it. So I don't know if that means heart attack or if that means something else.
What was he dealing with? Do we know? Or just
I don't know. I know he had some voice issues. He couldn't but I don't know if that came after any kind of heart issue.
You're 71, you've been juicing your whole life. It's just it can go at any point, it seems. So that's what I read it as. But yeah, Interesting last appearance in WWE.
Yeah,
Do the ads continue? Obviously, certainly not, it would seem.
I don't think so.
So there's that. Maybe they do another one in honor of Hogan, and then they have like the Great American Beer, or whatever it's called. So interesting, yeah. So
yeah, I mean, it's gonna the top like his death. I think is when you think about like major pro wrestling people that may pass. He's absolutely like one of the bigger names outside of somebody, current day, obviously, which would be a lot more, that this isn't tragic, but, it's a little bit different. It's going to spark, I think, polarizing discussion. And, for me, with some people, like, I'm reacting to this pretty much essentially on the air here. I don't have like prepared remarks or anything about this, but to me, it's like there's some people where you can, and that line is different for everybody, right? Like for what it is, like where you allow yourself to go in terms of, I'm just not going to look at that, and I'm going to look at this, right? I'm going to look at the work that he did in the ring, and I liked him as a wrestler and all that, and like Hulk Hogan doesn't cross that line for me, like a Chris Benoit would, where it's like, I really can't hear any arguments of like separate the artist and the art for when it comes to like Chris Benoit. I'm better with Hulk Hogan on that for some reason. Not even that, so that I'm not even advocating for whether that's a good or bad thing. It's just that like I'm able to watch a Hulk Hogan match, can't watch Chris Benoit matches. So that's what I'm trying to say.
I would say like on that, just like to reaffirm what you're thinking there, like the amount of people that have racist tendencies, misogynistic tendencies, whatever, like bad, negative people, qualities that like you and Isaac would say are negative qualities in people is vast. And that's just like the world you have to live in and realize versus murdering your entire family.
Yeah. Yes, that's all right. Okay. It's a lot more succinct than I put it. But yeah, it's true. It's like, I think that you can with Hulk Hogan, or you kind of have to analyze like, all right, you can just rant, you can rave about his, contributions to the pro wrestling business, and people will in the next 24, 48 hours, that's going to happen. And all of that will be true. And you can also rant and rave about, dude, this guy just was not a good dude. And for this reason, for that reason, for that reason, for that reason. And that also can be true all at the same time. And I think you're going to hear a lot of both over the next, 48, 48 hours here now that he's passed away. Hulk Hogan for me, like he was never my favorite wrestler, like at the time when I was watching him, like in his prime. Like I liked, Hulk Hogan, he was fine, but he wasn't like this, for me personally, like this, like, drop everything superhero character. There was just other people that I liked better at that time. I actually think that I've appreciated Hulk Hogan's contributions to the business more, like as I went back and watched some of his stuff rather than actually watching it like live and in real time. Like just the impact that he had on not just the wrestling business, but like being like a pop culture icon from the wrestling business. That is like the key connection that I think you have to make with Hogan in particular. Yes, he was transformative inside of pro wrestling, but what really set him apart from anybody else at that time is the fact that he also tapped into just that mainstream pop culture. He was the first real big name pro wrestler to do that. And like, he's more recognizable for that reason, and was the first guy to kind of break through that wall. So that's what stands out to me with him as just a star. I'm going to talk about Vince McMahon here in a minute, but take that any way you want.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting, like what you determine his prime. I know how old you are, so I don't think you were watching him in your prime because you were like,
I meant, like 5 years old. 5 years old is 1990.
Yeah, but like to me, his prime's 85 to 88. This is like peak super.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. Yep.
No, but like I was just curious what you defined his prime as, because like you could also do like 96 to 99 as like a different level of prime, like a two-peak career on where he was in the business, and and get into all that. But yeah, I mean, certainly breaking through the Rocky movie, all the bad action movies. Am I missing anything there? I mean, being very culturally relevant, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm sure in Chicago, I know there's tons of places that barcades and places where you can go play games and stuff. All of them, no matter where you are in the country, has a mural of Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
There's like a place called Pins here in Columbus that there's literally a drink called the Hulk Hogan, which is like a rocket pop popsicle and a vodka soda, basically.
Good.
Yeah, it's fine. You get a rocket pop, so that's always good. Red, white, and blue. So, cultural icon, without saying, goes without saying on that, and paved the way for a lot of ways. Maria in the chat has a question, just for later flight, if you don't want to talk about it now, but talent getting paid, would they get paid because of the Hulkster? I'd love to talk about that.
I will. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
But there's lots of pros and lots of cons based on him being like the first guy to really break through nationwide, not just regionally.
Yeah.
And it would have been a pro and a con for everybody, right? It wouldn't have been perfect for anybody if they were that guy, if it wasn't Hogan. But yeah, definitely impossible to disregard from, like, again, not in ring, not in character really, not even in like stories, but just like legacy of like per capita, like pound for pound, most important to the business. He's certainly in the Mount Rushmore of wrestlers, whether you want to admit that or not. And it's curious too. Like, I already sense like the Michael Jordan, like, greatest of all time, no questions asked. You can't even bring it up with like kids who are under 20 is already kind of fading as a thing that people our age would be like, well, no, that's insane. So I wonder, like, with the course of time, when does that not be the case? When is he Bruno Sammartino and not Hulk Hogan?
It's a great question. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. And Bruno Sammartino was obviously a really, really big star, but nowhere near, the level of Hulk Hogan. So it's like, I wonder if, like, Hogan's more of like the Beatles, in terms of that. Like, it's just, they're a band that, there's some people that won't like them or whatever, but they're always going to have that place in history, no matter what generation you are, because they were that impactful. They were that I think Hogan may fall in that.
Well, yeah, just like on that point, the like 60s to the late 90s is like when culture is like more of a monolith than it's ever going to be again.
Yeah.
Like, that might be the case of like you're kind of locked in to be a cultural icon for 100 years beyond your expiration date because of that.
Yeah. The Hulk Hogan, like when you talk about Hulk Hogan, you obviously have to talk about Vince McMahon, because it was Vince McMahon. Like, Hogan was made and created in Vince's image. It was his vision to create or acknowledge and find a star like that, and then book him to take over the world, essentially, which is what he did, and which is part of the reason why Hogan was able to kind of transcend wrestling the way that he did. So it begs the question, like, did Hogan need Vince, or did Vince need Hogan, or do they need each other, and neither one of them wanted to admit it?
Yeah, I mean, definitely a little bit of both. I think Hogan needed Vince more than vice versa. I think you could have done 80% of what they did in the 80s with somebody else, but not the peaks that they got together. So
yeah,
if it's not Hogan, is it like Macho Man that like gets that spot in those early days? I don't know. So,
boy, that's a good question. That's a good question for like a Wade Kelly. I don't even know who would be kind of if it wasn't Hulk.
Yeah,
You know?
that's when Vince was calling him weekly, so he probably had a good.
Yeah, it was. It definitely was. Well, and then like I think too, when I talk about Hulk Hogan, for some reason, not for some reason, I know why my mind goes to like yellow and red WWF Vince McMahon, but like he was almost just as transformative in a different way as part of the NWO in WCW, like ushered in a kind of like a pro wrestling value change in terms of like the types of characters and the types of storylines and more real, more serious. Like he was on, the forefront of that as well, like ushered in the Attitude Era with NWO. So, I know if you listen to Eric Bischoff talk or other wrestlers at that time, like, they kind of had to drag Hogan kicking and screaming across the line there to get that business done. More so than he probably admits in his interviews about it, but he still was that guy. And so when you talk about, and I think I'm answering my own question here, but when you talk about like those two big eras of Hulk Hogan, like which one do you think is more important, or do you think anybody will remember the NWO Hogan and that impact more so than gold and yellow, eat your vitamins, say your prayers, Hogan?
Yeah, I would say like the real wrestling. I don't want to gatekeep here, but someone who like is more into the real history of professional wrestling as opposed to maybe like a trivia knowledge of professional wrestling. I think you certainly have to say the NWO era is more important because we're still living in that post. Was it July 6th, 1996? Is that Bash at the Beach?
1996, the Bash at the Beach.
So, like, if I know the date of a pay-per-view from 29 years ago, that's pretty good. I cannot tell you the date of another pay-per-view. I don't think ever.
I'm going to try to throw out WrestleMania 3, but I don't know the exact date of that.
Probably March 31st.
Something like that.
85. Yeah. But, so that is just like we're still living in that era, and that's like why, I think we're definitely due for a new era of professional wrestling, in my opinion. And like, what does that mean? I don't even know what that means, so I can't give you an answer. But that was a sea change in the business completely that has sufficed to today. So I think, at least if you're a modern wrestling fan, that's way more impactful. But then it's also hard to say like the red and gold's not important because that kind of buoyed the entire industry and allowed secondary companies to come in and give you big moments like that as well. So,
right. Yeah.
So it's like hard to like debate club that, but I do think like personally for what we're watching week in and week out, so much more of that like people that are working today, their favorite wrestler was someone who watched that as a young adult or someone coming up in the business and catered to a lot of their style. Like we're on the second generation of the effect of that currently. Way more than 1985, tagging with Mr. T.
Yeah. I mean, look, like the NWO shirts still fly off the shelf. You still see those in public to this day, more so than you do like Hulk rules shirts. And obviously, you can't judge everything on that. And I think there's certainly a point or an argument to be made that like, well, you can't even get to the NWO if you don't have, red and yellow Hulk Hogan in WWF, which is true. But yeah, I'm kind of with you. I think he's like, as as Hulk Hogan, the star himself, I think he himself had more impact, on that NWO stuff because, Vince McMahon drove a lot of the influence that he had. He played the role to a T, of course, but Vince McMahon is just as much a part of that. Whereas the NWO Hogan is more, it's more him, just him, for better or for worse.
Yeah, for sure.
We've got Maria in the chat here who says talent gets paid what they get paid because of the Hulkster. Yeah, business practices of Hulk Hogan will be something that will be studied, torn down. But I think that he made a lot of money for himself throughout the years, and he did so like by keeping others down and making sure that he was always on top, and he was protected politically. All of that is part of what it meant to do business with Hulk Hogan. Part of me thinks that that stars of today could use a little bit more of that type of mentality in terms of how they carry themselves, but only to a certain point. Because he got himself in trouble with that too. I guess the larger point I'm making is that obviously he will forever have an impact on how and what wrestlers get paid in the pro wrestling industry. And again, for better or worse, that is a legacy he leaves behind.
Yeah, I mean, like sliding doors moment, and I'm curious what you think of this, Zach. Do you think if he doesn't narc on Jesse, that there is a union of professional wrestling, or of workers, workers of workers?
I don't think so. Mainly, it's not even just because they didn't have Hulk Hogan, right? They didn't have the biggest star. It's just knowing the wrestling business and following the wrestling business, and if it wasn't Hulk, someone else would. I believe someone else would have narked, and they're wrestlers, I don't think that they would have been able to put aside their own personal needs and greed for the good of like the collective. I just don't think the industry had it in him at that time. What about you?
Yeah, I don't think so either. Even though I'd like to think that he's the sole reason. So there's not a wrestling union. I think Vince literally would have fired everybody and started over instead of agreeing to a union.
Yes, I agree.
And
I think you're right.
The perfect corporation purchased WWE to make sure that's going to be a practice continuing forever too. So,
yep.
So that's there. So yeah, more of a Vince issue. I think his legacy than Hogan. If I'm going to try and be fair to Hogan on that.
Yeah.
No one likes a narc or a snitch though. So I just want to put that out there on that also. But yeah, I mean, definitely like the guaranteed contracts, the creative control. There's like pros and cons on the legacy there. So, who is like the most like that today? I mean, your biggest stars, right? Like Mercedes and Roman scream like Hogan to me on like the way they treat how they are as a business. Punk would be below that a little bit. I think he treats it like Hogan would treat it if he was in the same position. So it's one of those things of like, do you
Rock for sure?
Yeah. Do you want more of that, or do you want more Sammy and Kevin Owens who take reasonable contracts and are happy there and they like just resign? What's better for the business? Is it to have, definitely a mix, but if you had to choose everybody, I think probably Mercedes and Romans are better for the business and changing in the right way, right? Not doing as many house shows, et cetera, for their bodies. And, just personally as a fan, selfishly, I'd rather somebody work until their mid-40s if I like them as a talent than be broken down by 38 because they work 200 dates a year.
Yeah.
So that's like, again, like generationally the difference there. You have the guaranteed contracts, which lead to more power for that person to work less. So there are, winding effects from someone like that in his contract in WCW that has still proliferated through the industry.
Got a question from Sports Talk with Austin here. Sports Talk says Hulk Hogan created the Monday Night Wars when he joined the NWO. Is that a hot take or not, Tyler?
No, I mean, certainly like the NWO thing is when it really starts in the documentary version of it. I'm trying to think what's the start of the 83 weeks? Is that like August, October of that year? Is that when that starts?
I think so, yeah.
Late 96 to like mid to what? Early 99, mid 98, somewhere in that range.
Right.
I guess it's like a year and a half. So maybe it's 97. Anyway. Yeah, sure. I mean, technically, the start of the Monday Night Wars is Lex Luger appearing at the Mall of America. But and just deciding to run at the same time. But yeah, I mean, it's all potato. That's when it really was good. 95 is not a beacon for either of those companies and their Monday night products.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. I mean, I think like when it was it actually created? Like probably whenever Nitro started. But when did it really like become a war? You know, I think
I like Joel's answer
for sure.
It's probably when Hall and Nash show up.
No, that's true. Yeah, that too.
They're big stars leaving. That's still early dirt sheet days. Like what's going on if you're in the know. If you don't really know what's going on. And obviously, way more lasting star power than Lex Luger. The modern equivalent is Jake Hager premiering at the end of the first Dynamite. It's like, and neither did really much for the company. So
like Hall and Nash obviously coming over was big. I think Joel, who's in our chat, says the Monday Night War started when Hall got there. I mean, yes, I think that's when I would say that's when the battle intensified, but I still think what put it over the edge was Hogan. I mean, that's the Hogan turning heel. That's what put that whole story over the edge. It's if you give Stone Cold the same gimmick in WCW, does it do as well? It probably does pretty good, but I don't know if it does as well. Same thing with NWO. If Hogan never joins the NWO, I think the Outsiders are still really cool tag team, really cool idea, really cool faction, big business. But does it become iconic the way that it did? I don't think so. I don't think so without Hogan. So I would say that's maybe a hot take, sports talk with Austin, but I would agree with it.
Yeah, and really, for me, the wars start when you're signing those people so aggressively. If you're WCW, is more the war aspect to me.
Yeah.
Is having the talent and collecting the talent. And that's why they lost, because they did not re-sign Stone Cold in 95 or whatever.
With Hulk Hogan, and I think we did a nice job of recapping and with the help of the chat, just in calling out the reality that he's one of, if not the biggest, most influential, most impactful pro wrestlers in the history of the business, bar none.
Yeah. 2 top 10 WrestleMania matches, 2 top 5 WrestleMania matches. Of iconic, not of work rate. They're both
iconic wise, I think top 5 for sure. Absolutely.
Two of the top 5.
Yeah, from an iconic, from just a grandest stage of them all type thing. Yeah.
What are the other 3?
What are the other 3?
Yeah.
I can answer this pretty definitively, actually.
Yeah, go for it. I figured you could. That's why I asked you.
We got Hogan Andre, Hogan Rock, both Rock Austins, the first 2 Rock Austins. And then, for me, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with this vehemently, but Brett and Shawn. Iron Man. 12. Yeah. From a grandest stage of them all type thing. Not because it was the best match ever, but just when you kind of try to define eras, hey, that's mine. Those are mine. What are yours?
Not those.
None of them?
No. I mean, I'd probably do Rock, Hogan. This is no particular order. I would because it's in the moment, right? Not hindsight, because hindsight, Austin and Brett is the greatest WrestleMania match period of all time.
Yeah, but that.
But in hindsight, it wasn't built that way, right? That's what I'm saying. It's not on this list. They have build, huge moment, delivered. It's Rock and Hogan, again, no particular order. It's probably the first
Michael Cole and Jerry Lawler.
Yes, definitely it's the first Rock Austin match is in there. Obviously Andre, Hulk. So there's 3. I would say Undertaker, Shawn Michaels in 26.
Good one. Yeah.
And then
dude, do you have to put Rock Cena in there?
No, definitely not. I would put I'd want to really push for WrestleMania 30's main event, that whole story, if you can combine the 2 matches of Triple H and then the main event. I do like, while I hate it, I do think in like 10 years, you're probably going to put WrestleMania 40's main event in there in that conversation. So I do think like you do need to spread it out a little bit personally of like, you can't have all 5 be in the first 17 WrestleManias.
Yeah, that's fair. I think that's fair. And Shawn and Undertaker for sure. That may. So why you pick the first? I'm just curious, just because I'm an Austin guy. Why do you pick the first Austin instead
of the second? Am I wrong? Is the second one not where he turns heel?
The second one's where he turns heel.
Yeah, I mean it's just it's poisoned the whole thing.
Okay. So fair enough.
So it didn't deliver for me. Like the hype is there. Obviously, that's like My Way, right? By Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
So it's like the build is incredible and the anticipation is incredible, but like the end result, if you don't have that, it's I think probably number one with a bullet. But it just like does. It is like literally the end of an era and not in a good way.
Yeah. Yeah. Fair enough. Derek Mitchell jumps in here and says, R.I.P. Hulk. I've been a wrestling fan since 1982 and watched Hulkamania start in 83 in the AWA and his ascension in the WWF. He changed wrestling forever, and I'm focusing on his legacy. Yeah, you're right, Derek. But you do have to bring up the other stuff. And I don't want to like leave that out in terms of talking about Hulk Hogan. I mean, when we just talked about it, the impact that he had on the wrestling business for positive and for always. But the last, I don't know, decade of his career, or not his career, but last decade plus of his life, I mean, was marred in a lot of controversies, a lot of, even as you talked about, Tyler, like the pro wrestling appearance that he made, on Netflix earlier this year, just kind of, odd and uncomfortable, a little unsettling, because of some of those scandals. And so I ask you, how much should that impact like how people remember Hulk Hogan? Like, is it something that we need to just be tagging on to, his accomplishments? Yeah, this, and this, but this, or, is this something that could, and this is kind of more where I fall, that could really change the way you feel about Hulk Hogan? Like, I think that's in the cards, even though I'm able to separate it. When the things that he said, and the things that he's thought, and the things that he's believed and fought for, it's sometimes it would be hard. I would understand people just going, forget it. Like, the nostalgia isn't that great.
It's tough, right? Because I have my personal beliefs and I probably like what is fair. And I think they're two separate things. I would say that like there's a lot of people who suck, and not everybody shows you that they suck, like as a human.
Yes.
And he decided to show the world pretty consistently that he sucked, in my opinion. So that was a choice he made.
And he kept wanting to,
he could have been quiet. Yeah, he could have been quiet about a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It was not, and could have, there's like a thing of like, he doesn't owe me an apology. He didn't do anything to me personally, but that's really would have helped his legacy. I think if he would have been like a little more contrite, whether it be real or not.
Definitely.
Artist sort of thing. I was trying to think of like a good comparison of another person in pop culture, and I couldn't really find a good one. I was going to say, like, if we were a comedy podcast and when Bill Cosby dies, right? And I'm not saying Hulk Hogan is at the level of Bill Cosby, right? Yeah. Many confirmed horrible acts by Bill Cosby. That Hogan is not in the same ballpark by any stretch. So just make that clear. But, you could have the same conversation about legacy, art versus artist. Like, literally is everybody's favorite comedian of a certain generation is Bill Cosby. That created like so many funny people from the 80s and 90s grew up listening to his stuff. So it's like, what is that legacy versus the person? All that sort of stuff. I think that's easier to answer farther away. Mm-hmm. And that does soften over time. But I think you are like Derek. I think that opinion is valid. I think you're also valid if you're like, he's important, but I just like disliked him as a human being, but I respect what he did and his legacy. So it's just like, you can have both, and both of the same side. Like Derek saying like, I'm going to choose to focus on his legacy is the same as like, I acknowledge his legacy, but I'm going to choose to focus on the human, because that's been, for me personally, That's been a vast majority of my adult life. Like the last time he was relevant in the wrestling ring,
Yeah.
I was 12, 13. So a vast majority of my life where I've developed my frontal lobe, he's been a bad example of someone I would want in my life personally. So that's like hard for me to grasp. And that'll probably be easier for people to grasp if they didn't have that experience I've had. So like long term, I think his legacy will win out over his deeds.
Well said. Well said. Andrew H. saying here, Hulk is definitely getting cremated. No one buries the Hulk, brother.
Triple H isn't going to do his golden shovel.
Golden shovel. Sports Talk with Austin gave us a super chat here. Thank you so much, Sports Talk. We appreciate you, man. And he says, my WrestleMania Mount Rushmore matches. This is a fun exercise to go down. And for Austin, it's Kurt Angle versus Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 21. John Cena against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 23. The Undertaker versus CM Punk at WrestleMania 29. And Cody Rhodes versus Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39. Boy, I'll tell you, it's an interesting list, Sports Talk. There's some on there that I would not be on mine, but not because I don't remember them fondly. Just I think others just spike higher on my list, but it's got a lot of big names on it. That's for sure.
Yeah. Undertaker, CM Punk. I remember that being a very bad match personally. So I'm actually go back and watch this now because of your comment, Austin, because that's
I don't think it's a bad match. I don't think
don't take that negatively. I'm actually going to go back and watch it, and I will report back. Just comment like next week. I'd love to report back to you on my thoughts on that because I haven't watched it since. Good Lord.
Did you watch it a second time?
No. I mean, what's WrestleMania 29? What's that? 2014? 13? Yeah, I mean, geez. I watched it since I was 23. So
12 years ago, man.
Yeah. So I would love to watch it again with the hindsight of like watching more wrestling and maybe I can appreciate it more.
You got homework, my friend.
I know, yeah. I'll tell you what's not on that list. I don't know why this popped in my head. It's Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar.
No, that is not on the list.
WrestleMania 32. The worst WrestleMania of all time, right? 32.
One of the worst.
Gotta be. 9.
One of the worst, and one that I was at, and one that, like, man, I got such a story. I think I told my WrestleMania 32 story.
Yeah. Hogan in that, did he take a flamethrower with The Rock, or is that just The Rock who had a flamethrower during that?
That was flamethrower, yeah. That was flamethrower Rock.
Hogan part of that?
Hogan?
Yeah, was he part of that show?
No.
Very good.
Or I don't think he was. Was he? No, he wasn't. Because they did like an Austin thing and like a Shawn. Yeah, no Hogan. No Hogan. Oh my God, WrestleMania 32. Good grief. Don't ask my wife about that one.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't
have a good time.
No. Mm-hmm. Well, once the beer started flowing, yes.
Yeah.
Before that, no.
Yeah.
All right, we'll put a pin on it there for Hulk Hogan. It's look. It's a sad day in that regard. You lose an icon in the wrestling business. I point people to Wade Keller. I'm sure is going to do a really strong retrospective on Hogan's career. You're not going to want to miss that. I know I'm looking forward to that. I'll probably have something written up over on the newsletter as well. So definitely check that out. If you haven't subscribed there, please go and do that. It's on Substack. Just search Brass Ring Media Substack. Tough news today. Let's pivot because there's no good way to pivot. Let's just jump over and talk a little AEW from last night. Another night inside the Aragon Ballroom as part of the Chicago residency. But there's two big stories that I want to talk about. One of them is like an actual big story, which is next week on Dynamite, we got a rematch. Jon Moxley versus Adam Page. And I want to pick your brain on this because I think if you would have told me a week ago that Jon Moxley and Adam Page are going to wrestle again for the world title, I would have been like, no, please no. But I actually think they did a pretty nice job in terms of how they got there this week. And for what it is, because it's not a pay-per-view match, because it's not because this isn't All Out main event or Forbidden Door main event. Like, I think they got to this TV title match pretty successfully. That's my hot take. What
Okay.
say you?
Were you there?
I was not there yesterday.
Okay.
No.
You don't want to get COVID again.
I didn't want to get COVID again. But see, the thing is, I really am gonna try hard to go next week. And maybe that's why I'm more excited than others.
Yeah. Well, someone who's traveled for John Moxley television title changes, I'd be wary of that if I were you.
Be wary.
Yeah. Cleveland, CM Punk telling the Rocky 3 story. Rough show.
Ooh.
Um,
Oh man, were you at that show?
Yeah, I went because I thought, and when it started at like 8:50, I was like, "Oh no, this is not good."
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Okay.
So it was very strange. Probably the moment that I was like not as 100% going to go on AEW was that moment right there.
Man.
Anyway, two minds about this. I like the booking, and I do not like the booking on coming out of All Out, like in general, that Tony Khan's doing. I like the idea of like, hey, like this is a way to like totally uproot, squash, destroy the Death Riders. Adam Page is your vessel for that, etc. He's a badass babyface who takes no prisoners, takes all challengers, even if it's the guy who just fought him, and wants to prove that Moxley can't do anything by himself. I like all that in theory. I'm worried, like, what's a Forbidden Door main event? Like, who's Page taking on at Forbidden Door? My concern here.
I think I know who it is, but
what do you think it is? I have no read on this.
I think it might be Tanahashi.
Yeah, it's like a farewell thing.
It's like a farewell. Yeah.
Well, that also sucks. But as a match, I'm just being honest with you.
Yeah, total.
Yeah. My concern here is like, is this a way to get Moxley a win and then have Page win it back and have a trilogy between these two and have Page like get his rematch at Forbidden Door and win it again in front of the Brits as like a way of like, hey, thanks for still selling out this big show, even though it kind of sucks. That's my real big meta concern here, if I'm being super honest with you. And it makes sense of like, because what's the stip? Everybody's barred from ringside.
Everyone's banned from ringside.
What does that mean? Everyone. Like,
I mean, that's a problem.
Is the ref barred from taking a bump? Because like, then anything's fair game. Like, what is it? It's going to get like retroactively taken away in kayfabe if like a new person enters the fray for the Death Riders. If he gets hit with a briefcase. So like, I'm very, very concerned that that's the decision here. And then you do Page on a chase again. I do think that waters down the story. I think that's like a 10% likelihood chance, which is too much for my liking. I do think you're more correct in like, hey, this is good booking. It's a good TV match, a good way to like, thank you for those fans to come see like 6 shows in a row at that baller. So it's all fine for that. But honestly, I'd probably rather choose that than the Tanahashi match. But I guess I don't know. For the show, I'll purchase Forbidden Door, but that would definitely be the first show if I was like not doing this with you and everybody here. I would be so skipping Forbidden Door, purchasing that pay-per-view. So that's not good for AEW.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of think that you may be like, I mean, we'll talk about Forbidden Door as it gets closer, but there was a time and a place for that event. And now it seems like, can we just have like a regular AEW pay-per-view? Like, because the crossover, everybody that's crossed over to have like dream matches with AEW guys are either in AEW right now proper, or you've already done the match. Like, you've already done all the Zack Sabre Jr. matches you want to do. You've already done the Tanahashi matches you probably want to do. Okada's there. Jay White's there. I mean, you could do Ishii against somebody and Shingo Takagi against all that you can do. But the sizzle for the Forbidden Door pay-per-view was the guys like Okada coming in. Like, and now it just rings hollow. So, yeah.
We should have like one match that's like forbidden.
Yeah, right.
Like Bill Goldberg versus Powerhouse Hobbs.
Right.
I mean, for real. Like, I would book that if I was Tony Khan.
Yeah, I mean, but like that's what I'm saying. Like, if you do a match like that, or maybe whatever, one women's match like that and one men's match like that, fine. But we don't need to see a show with the current New Japan talent like going up against the current AEW talent.
No, they can earn that and rebolster that roster. Maybe 5 years, reconsider it. If I'm
right. As far as this goes, I mean, look, if they put the title back on John Moxley here, like that, we were talking about All In. Like if you have Moxley beat Page at All In, is that kind of a jump the shark moment where you're just like, forget it, like company kind of in trouble because of that a major bad decision? I think this would have ramifications on that level. I mean, the best parts of last 2 weeks of Dynamite that were weak, in my opinion, overall, was the fact that you framed Adam Page as this just centerpiece, babyface, top guy. Like that's like the best part. Dude, he squashed Wheeler Yuta this week on TV to open the show. I was like looking around my office here like, wait, what? Did we got a squash match pretty much on AEW television? Like, holy cow. And it's the world champion? Like, that's fantastic. And so they worked really hard to like get them to that point. And man, if you just have them lose the belt again, it undoes all of that. It undoes the whole thing. The whole story with Page and the redemption all unravels if he doesn't make good. So I mean, I am like I get like a 0.5% chance that could happen. But boy, if it does, yeah, it's gonna be heavily criticized on the old Brass Ring Media podcast.
Yeah, for sure. That's why I'm worried. Like, if it's like smart booking it, like you're laying out, it is just even the small percentage chance that it's what I'm worried about, what you're worried about, I think is negative. Again, it's on TV, but they've done title changes on television, so so we'll see. I think it's more of a vessel for, is this a opportunity for MJF to cash in or fake cash in, and like maybe Moxley thwarts that too, and that's like the beginning of him from, in 6 months being a babyface to like stop him from doing that. So,
how do you think Adam Page has done as champion in the last couple of weeks?
Good. Yeah, I think he's great. He's the best part of the show. On some shows that have been C+, B- shows for me, he's easily been the best part. Obviously, last night, him being the bookend of the show helps tremendously. And he feels way more like a champion than he did the first time. So it feels like a lot of redoing of what they did wrong during that era. So, it's probably the world champions felt like the most pivotal person on the show, maybe ever in AEW. Like, honestly, like a focus on it, which has always been a big negative for me in the company.
Yeah.
Like, your champion's not, like, are they going to be on TV every week? So even MJF, who was on every week, then he became champion, was like there and not there, and contractually obligated to appear as like the gimmick. So
I think Adam Page is just, I think he's just delivered. In position to deliver. Yes, good on Tony Khan, but I think he's delivered too in terms of just carrying himself like a champion. I love the promo last night opposite Moxley. I think may have been Adam Page's best promo of his career. Like, in terms of like looking the part and acting like a top world champion and a top babyface world champion. Like, I love the line like, hey, look, I'm going to prove it to you. And then, but I'm the champion now. You're the challenger. We're going to do things my way. I love that line. There was no, like, it was like within the Adam Page character, but it wasn't like passive Adam Page. And I think that he's been a passive top star for a really long time. And if this is the start of him kind of being more active in that role and looking more of that part and commanding more attention because he has that title, like, that's only good. That's good for AEW, and that's good for him and his title run too.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, yeah, it just feels like he's grown up as a human being, like, and knowing like what it means to be there and probably fighting for that spot, and not like letting effing Cope open the show, which probably would have been the case 2 years ago.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yep. Yeah, having a little Hulk Hogan in him with that, in terms of like, I'm the champion, I'm the top guy, like I'm gonna act like it,
And like adults at the top, like I know, like with Ospreay, like having good news there for one more match at least before taking some time off. I think we all presume, right? But like, I think a different era is Ospreay wins that match, wins the title, and then is like, oh yeah, I'm injured. So
Yeah.
sorry guys. Now we're doing a tournament for the title. And
Fair.
that's like a different, just like the ability to be like, yeah, I don't think Ospreay can go. Like, I don't think Ospreay can be wrestling consistently for the next 6 months. So I'm going to go with Paige and make it work. That's like, for everybody involved too. For Swerve, for Ospreay, for Paige, all to take their roles. Just is a good place to be as a booker.
I can't believe that Ospreay, with herniated disc in his neck at 2 levels, is only going to miss a month. Like, I'm like, dude, should you even be wrestling like at Forbidden Door at all? Like, I know you want to, when we all want you to, but goodness gracious, that's the neck stuff, man. That's nothing to mess around with. I was surprised.
I mean, I'm not a doctor. Isn't that the stuff that's like, isn't that basically like surgery, or you just deal with it? Sort of injury? Like,
yeah,
popping a disc back in, I don't think. Again, if anyone's a doctor or a physiotherapist, let me know. But I think it's just one of those things of like, obviously some rest will help with swelling, but I think that's either surgery, which you don't want to do on your upper vertebrae.
When you're 32.
Yeah. So take some time off and see how you feel and change your style a little bit. But yeah, I mean, that's just what it seems like to me. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Sports Talk has another super chat for us here. Thank you so much for Sports Talk. Appreciate you, man. Really. Says here, is Hangman versus MJF the next big money pay-per-view match for All Out or Full Gear? Hangman Page run to the AEW World Championship was excellent both times. Tyler.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's definitely the next like opportunity that, again, if not the worst case scenario like we talked about. I think even if that does happen, I think Page would win it back at the next pay-per-view. So I think even then, yes, like Hangman, the first opportunity he has to really lose that title is against MJF, which is good. And yeah, I don't know. All Out is what? September,
yeah.
in Toronto. Full Gear's in November somewhere. Do we know? Yep. I don't think we know where Full Gear is yet. Yeah, I mean that seems the case to me. I mean, I don't know if we have time to talk about the contract stuff with Athena and MJF.
Oh no, yeah, go ahead. Yep, I was going to pivot there.
Part of that. So yeah, I mean, but yeah, I agree 100%. It's the next, big time main event match for AEW, and they're setting that up.
I agree. I think this is the next big money match for them. I mean, when you look and it's pretty big. Number one, I mean, it's a pretty big match. They've got history. That
MJF beat Page for the title, right? The first time?
No. MJF beat Mox.
Okay. So Mox beat Page? What's the legacy of that? Who beat Adam Page? I guess, no, it's Punk. Never mind, it's Punk.
Well,
that's where everything started.
Well, yeah, right. That's
For all in was the Punk Page match.
Yes. Oh my God, how can we forget? So it is a money match, and it's also just when you look around that there's not many money pay-per-view matches left for Adam Page right now. Like they have to, one of the things that Tony Khan needs to be doing right now is building up opponents for him, because the MJF Hangman match, that writes itself. You can do Hangman and Okada down the road. That kind of writes itself too. Fletcher, yeah. But even Fletcher, it's like, I think if you want him challenging for the world title, he could, he's got to be wrestling more better than, Dustin Rhodes.
Cope. I mean, definitely Cope in there.
Cope, yeah. So like,
I'm just kidding.
Opportunities, but you gotta start preparing for them. But like, to your point, Sports Talk, the money match that stands out right now, ready-made, is that MJF match, and I think you are looking at an all-out main event there. I mean, if I had to put my money on it, I think that's what's in the cards here. Let's see here. Andrew H, a little bit of a different opinion, says they have failed to follow up the company reset. It's amazing how badly Tony fumbles the ball on the goal line. So I mean, in some ways, I agree with this. Some parts of what's going on. I'm higher on the Adam Page stuff, Andrew H, than you seem to be. But there's other stuff going on where I'm just like, what is happening? Tyler, did they kick MJF out of the Hurt Syndicate last night? Or like, what the hell was that?
Yeah, I mean, this was so out of the blue.
What the hell was that?
It feels like just like a storyline to like have them come to blows and then hug as they help each other win, cheat to win. Cope, again, like, Tony's a lot of things. Tony's not stupid, Tony Khan, on like where people are affiliated. Like, he listens to everybody. He knows everybody hates Adam Copeland as a character and like thinks he's like an egomaniac and all his stuff sucks and he's go away heat, just like he was last night. And like kills what is really working. Like, FTR are really working for me as a team. The Hurt Syndicate are really working for me as a team. And then like I could hated that segment more than anything I've hated in a long time last night. So like, again, like Cope hiring them to me does not necessarily mean they're baby facing themselves and MJF's going to be a heel, so they have to separate, right? Which is like the other alternative theory here of why this happened so quickly.
That was kind of my theory.
Yeah, I just like it. I'm trusting Tony Khan not to, because I think like Copeland and Christian, like they've done no work on getting Christian over as a babyface.
Right, he hasn't even been on TV.
So like they're certainly gonna be on the other side of this tournament, right? And face FTR. That's the way Cope can get his hands on FTR legitimately without getting fired.
I didn't think of that.
That's why it's got to be a secret, right? Because Cope and Christian are going to be a tag team.
But yes, I see where you're going, but that's just that's like a huge what do I have to say? That's like a huge plot point. Cope and Cage getting back together. Like, we have to see that, do we not? Like, are you saying that Tony's just gonna like throw them on the brackets and that's gonna be it?
The way this is getting thrown together, yes, I think that's a possibility.
Yeah,
or maybe Cope teams with somebody random, like Bobby Lashley. It doesn't work out, and then Christian comes to his help, and they decide to do it, and then that's your match in Toronto. Maybe it's something like that. But
because I keep forgetting that it's in Toronto. So
those two versus FTR is certainly like your secondary main event in Toronto.
At All Out, yeah.
So that's there. And so I just think this is like a red herring sort of storyline for see if Page is stupid and lets his guard down. And I don't think he will. And there'll probably be some sort of cash in opportunity next week with MJF and the Hurt Syndicate, and that's why they didn't want to make it seem like they were together, because MJF's going to try and cash in next week.
Yeah. What do you make of the contract stuff? Go ahead, take that.
Yeah, I just like, is it like totally a Money in the Bank situation? Like, I've not gotten like clarity on this, and this is like such an AEW issue I have and will continue to have, of like Athena saying the same sort of thing, like I can cash this in whenever I want to. Like, is this you can cash it in for a set match, or it's Christian with his contract, which is obviously Money in the Bank, which is stupid. It's stupid in WWE at this point. It's something that maybe one person should have every 3 years as a plot point. I mean, I understand WWE's not going to get rid of it, but I don't like that. I might like it for MJF and his character because it makes sense, but for Athena, it makes no sense. What that character, I mean, that's not working either. But so I don't know. I would just like some clarity so I can have a mental guidepost of like, is this a threat or is it not a threat? Because if I have no idea until it happens, that kills a lot of the anticipation.
It seems to me that like, so when Christian Cage cashed his in, it was it was a Money in the Bank style cash in, right? Like he cashed in, he joined the match to become a triple threat match, and then he lost that match. Mm-hmm. And then the way Athena went about it yesterday, it kind of makes me think that it's a Money in the Bank kind of thing. And I'm with you. I think that's a terrible idea for MJF too. I mean, because what are they going to do? Like a cash in and then like you do a rematch at All Out? Like, is that, or does MJF like cash in and have a match? Like that doesn't seem like appropriate for his character. So they got to define this out. Cause I had the same question that you had, which is like, wait a minute, is this a cash in thing or is this a like it's a scheduled title shot. And it's crazy that we're 2 years into this now and like we still don't know. I mean, you just gotta pick one way or the other.
Yeah. So it's just like not buttoned up. It's a huge issue. So it's like hard to defend, as Adam in the chat.
Adam says here, who's our gold member, by the way, Adam Kidd, our gold member. Thanks so much, Adam. Says, I didn't love that angle last night. And also, how dare you question the wrestling savior, Tony Khan. Adam also says that WWE over-explains things to the point of being nauseating. AEW doesn't explain things anywhere close to it. There's a middle ground. There is a middle ground. I think AEW it'd be prudent for them to find what that middle ground is.
Yeah.
All right. We'll put a bow on it there, guys. Thank you all so much for joining the show. Yes, we had some other plans coming into it. We'll try to do that for our members this week. But we wanted to talk Hulk Hogan too because of the news and his impact on the business and controversy around him as well. So glad we got a chance to do that with you guys. Make sure you're heading over to Patreon and checking out our membership options. Patreon.com/BrassRingMedia is how you do that. We have 2 different membership tiers. We have a gold membership and we have our regular membership. Regular membership gets you access to a member-only podcast once a week, all of our pay-per-view and PLE review shows, exclusive access to our Brass Ring Media Discord where all of our members hang out, and so much more. So head over there right now and give us a go. Your first week is on us. It's totally free to try. Patreon.com/BrassRingMedia. As Adam says here, join everyone. You won't regret it. Thanks, Adam. Thanks to our gold member there. Tyler, any final words?
Yeah, I would just like Adam's thumbs up or thumbs down on Hulk Hogan. That's all I'll have to say on that.
Adam, you want it from Adam.
Yeah, just a thumbs up or thumbs down in general. I just like to see what his reaction would be. So.
Let's see it, Adam. Come on. Unless he logged off already, I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll see.
You can always give it to us in the Discord as well, Adam. So, guys, thank you. Make sure you're heading back into the Brass Ring Media archives. Check out Robert's Nocturnal Knockout yesterday. Big show about Roman Reigns and about future main eventers in WWE. Really fun show. Listened to it this morning on the way to work, so check that out. And on Saturday morning, the Kick Ash podcast with Ashley will be back. You guys all know Ashley. She dominates. So make sure you're listening to that show. It's on Saturday mornings right here at the Brass Ring Media YouTube channel. And wherever you get your podcasts, just search Brass Ring Media. For Tyler, I am Zach. We'll talk to you guys real soon. See ya.